There is a certain silence when the moon begins to fade. The world watches in awe as a shadow crawls across its glowing face, covering what seemed untouchable, a lunar eclipse. For a moment, it feels as though light itself has been stolen, and we are left only with the chill of darkness. Yet even in this cosmic theater, there is a truth. The light has not vanished. It is only hidden, waiting, patient, eternal. And isn't life the same? When the weight of fear, failure, or grief eclipses our spirit, we mistake the shadow for permanence, forgetting that light is always there, just out of sight. A lunar eclipse is one of the universe's most delicate performances. The Earth, bathed in sunlight, casts its shadow across the moon. The dance of cosmic bodies aligns with such precision that the moon darkens, sometimes glowing faintly red, what we call a blood moon. Science tells us this is simple geometry, celestial mechanics in action. But the heart feels something deeper. Ancient civilizations feared eclipses, believing gods were angry or that monsters devoured the moon. To them, the darkness was not a passing shadow, but a prophecy. And in a way, they weren't wrong, because every eclipse carries a message, not from the stars, but from within us. When the moon disappears behind the Earth's shadow, it teaches us something profound. Light is not destroyed by darkness. It is only hidden. And in our own lives, shadows fall too. The shadow of rejection, the shadow of failure, the shadow of loneliness. In those moments, we believe the light of hope is gone. But just like the moon, our light remains, waiting for the shadow to pass. Too often, we mistake temporary eclipses for eternal nights. Think about the eclipses of your own life. The breakup that shattered your heart. The dream that collapsed before it even began. The rejection letter that whispered, "You're not good enough." The nights you stared at the ceiling, drowning in what-ifs and unfinished plans. These are not random struggles. They are life's eclipses. Shadows cast across your brightest hopes, and in those moments, the silence feels endless. You wonder if light will ever return. But every eclipse in nature ends, and so do the eclipses of the soul. Why do we fear the dark? Psychologists say the human brain craves clarity, visibility, predictability. In light, we feel safe. In darkness, we feel exposed, powerless. Overthinking thrives in the dark because uncertainty is its fuel. Anxiety whispers louder when vision is blurred. But here's the paradox. Our fear of darkness blinds us more than the darkness itself. Because in truth, darkness is not the enemy. It is a canvas, a stage on which our inner light is revealed. When pain comes, we believe it will last forever. When we fall, we believe we'll never rise again. But permanence is the greatest illusion life creates. Nothing lasts forever. Not joy, not sorrow, not even the longest night. A lunar eclipse may feel eternal as you watch it unfold, but within minutes, the shadow moves on. The same is true for suffering. The mind, however, clings to shadows. It tells us the eclipse is permanent. It convinces us this darkness is who we are. But we are not our eclipses. We are the light behind them. History is filled with people who walked through darkness and returned with greater light. Nelson Mandela, who endured 27 years of prison, emerged with forgiveness instead of hate. Malala Yousafzai, who faced the eclipse of violence, transformed it into a light of education for millions. Each of them lived through eclipses that seemed eternal, but each eclipse ended. And when it did, their light returned brighter, because it had been tested by shadow. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." In other words, your hidden strength, your unseen brilliance, is revealed not in easy times, but in eclipses. You cannot know your courage until fear arrives. You cannot know your resilience until failure strikes. The light you cannot see is already within you, waiting to be discovered in the shadow. The eclipse is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Think about what the lunar eclipse really shows us. The Earth, massive and grounded, casts its shadow on the moon. We too cast shadows across ourselves. Our doubts, our regrets, our fears, they block our view of our own brilliance. But just as the moon never loses its light, neither do we. We are luminous beings, even when we cannot see it. The eclipse is a mirror, showing us how easily we confuse shadow for substance. So what do we do when life darkens? When failure, rejection, or grief covers us like a shadow? We remember the eclipse. No eclipse lasts forever, and we move forward, trembling, uncertain, but forward. Because courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act while fear whispers its lies. The eclipse tells us, wait,